If you're the type of guy who's in an all or nothing cycle with the training and diet, where when you're fully on it, you're smashing it, but as soon as something comes up in life, or as soon as you can't stick perfectly to the plan, you completely fall off and you press that fuck it button, I'll start again next Monday, this video is made exactly for you. Now, the thing is, most guys think in black and white. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, most guys either think they have to be fully on something to see the results that they want to see. So they're either fully on the training plan, training 4 to 5 days per week, smashing the training sessions, they're tracking the calories, tracking the macros. But as soon as they have a meal off plan or they miss a training session, they feel like they've lost all the progress. And usually they feel frustrated or feel guilty. And then that causes them to press that fuck it button and then tell themselves they'll start again next Monday. But that's the very thing that's holding you back from getting the results that you want and also getting the body that you want. So the thing is, I understand why you might think this, because there's so much information on the internet now where everyone's telling you something about training, about diet, about following this training program, about following this perfect diet, about doing ice baths, about having to get up at 4 a.m, that you're just overloaded with so much information that you feel like you need to be perfect, or you need to have the perfect plan or the perfect diet. And if you're not getting things perfect, you're not going to see results. And then what usually ends up happening is the person just doesn't start because there's too much information. It feels too overwhelming. Or when they do start and then something comes up in life, like a personal problem, work getting busier, they end up falling off because essentially, you're not a paid athlete. You can't stick to it perfectly all the time. And to make it worse, if you have worked with a personal trainer before, or you've seen personal trainers say the things I'm about to say, like you have to stick to this meal plan perfectly, or you have to stick to this perfectly, that's obviously going to make you believe that you need to be perfect to see results. But a lot of the time, they don't understand you and your life because you've got other responsibilities in life. And then when you believe you have to be perfect, essentially, it's going to stop you from getting what you want, because every time you do quote unquote fall off, you end up just starting again later down the line and you're in that all or nothing cycle. So in this video, I'm going to show you a system on how to drop body fat, get leaner, get you the body that you want without having to be perfect. And also when busy periods come up in life, you'll be able to sustain them results long term. I've used this exact system on clients like Ross here on the screen, who dropped over 4 stone of body fat in 12 months, all whilst moving house, moving jobs, going on multiple holidays. He managed to make that progress and most importantly, sustain that progress. Now he's by himself using this exact system I'm going to show you. Or another client, Neil, on the screen here, who at the time had his own business, 2 children, a partner. So you can imagine life's pretty hectic. He managed to get in the best shape of his life here on the screen. He managed to get a 6-pack and maintain that 6-pack all whilst going on holiday, running his business, and not to say most recently, changing business and pivoting to another role. And he managed to sustain these results long term. I've also used this exact system on myself back in 2018 when I was working in another gym. It wasn't my gym, but I was personal training in there with my own clients. My partner was working in there as well. But long story short, we wanted to get our own place because we both wasn't happy where we was working. And then fortunately, we managed to find a space, but it needed a ton of work. So what was happening was I was starting roughly around 6 a.m. I'd work to midday. I'd come back in the afternoon to that gym for my afternoon and evening clients. And then I'd have to go to the gym I just recently signed the contract for. I'd have to go to that gym and then paint, decorate, clean it, usually till midnight with my partner. I'd spend most weekends in there working till midnight as well. So at the time I was exhausted because I was literally doing double shifts where I was doing my normal job, but then having to clean the gym as well at the time because quite frankly, we couldn't afford someone else to do it. So we had to do the work. And that went on for a few months. And by this point, I was obviously into my health and fitness. I was a personal trainer, but I felt exhausted. So I really struggled to be able to stick to a diet that allowed me to still be in shape. And the thing is, it's really important for me to look good and feel good. It's just one of my values. I really like it when I'm in good shape. It makes me feel good. And I needed to find a system that allowed me to still attend to my responsibilities like coaching my clients, getting this gym set up, being a good partner, but also serving myself where my body wasn't suffering or my health wasn't suffering. And this system allowed me to stay in shape whilst I was going through these busy and challenging periods in my life. And the name of this system is the GEAR system. So by the end of this video, you'll know how to navigate your training, your diet, even when life is busy. So no matter what's going on in life, you'll always be able to be consistent with your training and diet so you can get in shape, most importantly, stay in shape and stay consistent, which is the most important thing above anything else when it comes to getting in shape. So let me explain the gear system and how it works. So imagine a car and imagine the gears from 1 to 5. And I'm going to paint 2 scenarios for you. Scenario 1, you get in your car and you go into a location, you put in the sat nav where you're going, you set off on the journey, you get onto the motorway and there's no traffic whatsoever. You're in gear 5 and you're just smashing down the motorway. You get to your location 5 minutes ahead of time, so 5 minutes before the sat nav said you'd get there. Journey of your dreams, okay? Now, I want you to imagine scenario 2, which is you do the exact same journey to the exact same place, but this time round, you get on the motorway, there's been a crash. There's lanes of traffic everywhere and you're in gear 1 to gear 2 and you're trying to creep ahead of the traffic, you're trying to get ahead, but you are moving forward, but it's a very slow pace and you end up getting to the location half an hour, after the estimated time. That would be the journey of your worst nightmare. So scenario 1, journey of your dreams. Scenario 2, worst journey ever. Now, I want you to think about this as in a week of your life or like 2 weeks of your life. So imagine scenario 1, the journey of your dreams, where in your life, that will be like a week where you're not stressed, you haven't got loads of pressure, everything's predictable, you know when you're gonna go to the gym, you know when you're doing your food shop, no unexpected stressful things are sort of cropping up where it could potentially throw you off the gym, and everything's running smoothly. I want you to think about what you think you could achieve in that week. So how many training sessions could you do? How hard could you train in the gym? How many meals could you eat that were healthy? Could you track all your meals? Could you track all your calories, track all your macros? Think about what's possible in terms of what you could achieve in that week. Now, let's go to scenario 2, the journey from hell. This will be a week from hell for you personally. So imagine a week of hell for you. Imagine what a week of hell will look like to you personally and what your life looks like. It could be that unexpected things are coming up in work. You have to stay in work a little bit longer than that was expected. Unexpected things are happening at home, whether that's with the kids or with family, and you have to go do something or attend something. You've got the days that you was going to go and train, but you no longer can train on them days because something's cropping up. You can't stick to your diet because, let's say you didn't have time to make your meals because you were stressed and you had to attend to other things. In them weeks, that's where most guys would typically fall off. They would just say to themselves, I've got too much going on now and I can't look after my health and fitness. I'll have to do it at another time. That's where we want to avoid that. This is what I want you to think about instead. In them worst weeks, I want you to think about what you're still able to do that feels realistic, but isn't too much compared to the best week of scenario 1 where you could be smashing everything. You don't want to be setting goals like that. What could you do even on your worst week? So for example, instead of training 4 days a week, could you train once or twice? Instead of just tracking all your meals and all your calories and having to be perfect, could you just eat, let's say, 2 meals a day that you know have been tracked previously and you know is healthy? So think about what you could do on them weeks from hell. The idea is, the philosophy behind it is, you want to be able to set achievable milestones and achievable targets that you feel is realistic on your best weeks and your worst weeks, because what this will do is allow you to still have some consistency with your training and your diet rather than being up here or completely falling off. Right, so I'm going to write some examples down just to paint a bit of context of what this could look like. And if you want to download your own framework of the gear system, so you can type in each gear on the board, which I'm about to show you, of what you think you can do in your best weeks and worst weeks, just go to the link in the description and download it. But let me show you first how this could sort of look. So we've got gear 5 here. These are your best weeks. And you've got here diet, training, and steps. Okay, so what we're going to do is diet, gear 5, write down, okay, track all calories, track macros, pre-plan 1 meal you want to eat on the weekend ahead of time. And then also maybe 5 pieces of fruit and veg So that's some context for you. You don't have to follow that. Excuse me, Ryan, you probably can't even read that. But basically, you want to think about what you're able to do in your best weeks. What are the standards you can uphold yourself to when it comes to your diet? I've just used the example of tracking calories, tracking macros, eating fruit and veg, and being accountable for every single meal. But now what we want to do is, for gear 1, week from hell, tracking your calories and tracking your macros might not be realistic. So instead of just eating shit and just eating takeaways because you can't stick to this, what you're going to write down instead here is maybe eat 2 meals that have been previously tracked and maybe one evening meal of whatever you want. I've got handwriting like a 5-year-old. So the idea is here, you're eating 2 meals a day, that's maybe got some protein in, you've tracked them meals before, you're not tracking them now, but you've tracked them before, you know the ingredients, they're easy to make, but you're not weighing it out and stuff like that, you're just having them and you're having one meal in the evening where it's whatever you want. Gear 2, as you go up the gears, the intensity and the standard of the diet will obviously increase. So gear 2 could be, you eat 3 meals a day, and you're tracking the calories, but not tracking macros. So here, you're tracking calories, but you're not tracking macros. A little bit more difficult than this, but nowhere near as hard as this. So still a little bit more achievable. Let's go to gear 3. Gear 3 could be track calories, track macros, or track protein, sorry, but don't worry about carbs and fats. So what you're doing there is you're tracking your protein, tracking your calories, but you're not asked about your carbs and fats and getting the numbers perfect. So they're a little bit more difficult. And then gear 4 could be track calories, track macros, but have 1 meal on the weekend that you don't track, or 2 meals on the weekend that you don't track. So what you do here is, if you know you've got a busy week coming up where you are traveling for work, or just let's say you've got something going on in the family home, or you've got to take the kids somewhere, whatever it may be, or you've got more work projects, ask yourself at the start of the week, what gear do I want to be in? What gear is realistic for this week? So it could be gear 5 because you've got nothing on, or it could be gear 1 because it's going to be a week from hell. So what this does is it gives you a plan for each scenario that's happening in your life, because most guys only have the quote unquote perfect plan that they can only follow when things are going okay in their life. But we all know, unless you're a 20-year-old living at home and you've got no responsibilities, you've got responsibilities to others, you've got responsibilities you've got to serve, you've got work, you've got family, and you've got other things outside of health and fitness. So scenarios are always changing outside of your control. So what you need is a plan for each of them scenarios so you can stay consistent and not worry about being perfect. So let's go to training. So training for gear 5, perfect week could be all sessions complete, applying progressive overload. So you're pushing yourself in the session, training with good intensity. And let's say it's 4 sessions a week, whatever your plan says. Right, gear 1 could be maybe 1 to 2 sessions a week, half an hour to 45 minutes per session. So 1 to 2 sessions, 30 mins to 45 mins, and not applying progressive overload. You're just going into the gym and you're just ticking over. Because believe it or not, still doing this will keep you in shape. Gear 2 could be 2 to 3 sessions a week, 45 minutes to 60 minutes per session, but not applying progressive overload. You're just doing the same weights you'd lift every single week. So as you can see now, obviously you've got gear 3, gear 4. I won't fill them out, but as you can see, you're starting to get context with your training sessions. If you've got a plan that you've created or you found on the internet, or you've downloaded my 3-day plan for free in the link, just in the link below, you can basically have an adjustable, you can be flexible with that plan. So if you're training 3 days per week, what you can do instead is on gear 1 week, so gear 2 weeks, you can train 1 day per week or 2 days per week. And it's still allowing you to go rather than feeling like, if I don't do these 3 days per week, I'm gonna fail. We wanna get rid of that mindset. And the last thing is steps. I'm not gonna write this down, I'm trying to explain it. So it could be gear 5, could be 10,000 steps a day on your best week. Gear 1 could be maybe 4,000 to 5,000 steps a day. Gear 2 could be maybe 6 to 8. Gear 3, 8 to 9, etc. So what you want to do is at the start of each week, ask yourself, what gear are you in? And then have rules for your diet training and your steps for that particular gear. So you've always got a plan that you can follow rather than having to be perfect and just be rigid, sticking to the one plan. So guys, if you want to download your own copy of the gear system, and you should be able to see a copy of it on the screen here, where you can download it and fill it in and just put in what you think you can do if you're training diet and steps in different gears, press the link in the description and you'll be able to download it for free. But guys, I hope you found the video useful. If you did, drop me a like, drop me a subscribe, and in the next video, I'll be teaching you how to maintain your results for life once you're in shape. That will basically feel like cruise control. So stay tuned for the next video.